Hi everyone, welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio and tonight's YouTube Live. My name is Lisa Curcio. I am super excited that you're here. If you're here watching the replay, this is going to be a recording of a YouTube Live event. Today is, what is it? It's Wednesday. It's August 14th, 2019. And for those of you joining me live, I am thrilled that you're here with me. I've got some fun projects to share with you tonight. I'm going to be demonstrating one, and I'm going to be sharing some other projects with you during the live event towards the end. So make sure you stay with me. Hold on a second. I got to get my iPad. I just realized that my sound was on. And I like to use the iPad so I can catch some of your comments while I'm stamping. Let me just set that down really quick. Thanks so much for being here. All right, if this is your first time joining me, I am thrilled that you have stopped by. It is my hope that I can inspire and teach you a few things about card making and paper crafting. I also want to take care of just two housekeeping items before we get started for those of you here with the live. Megan Justice's name is going to be in blue. It's going to be off to the right-hand side of the screen if you are here watching from a desktop computer. Megan is my virtual YouTube Live assistant, and she does a fantastic job of answering questions I cannot get to because my head will probably be down at the table, and I'll be stamping because that's what you came here to see. But I do come back and I read every single comment when the live is over. So I love when you interact with me, so please leave me comments. In addition to that, if you want to chat during the live, it's really important that you log into your YouTube account, which is your Gmail address. That's a YouTube thing, not a Lisa thing. So make sure that if you want to chat that you're all logged in. Okay, I think we're ready. I've got a masculine card for you tonight that's got a spin on layering some framelits, and I'm excited to share it with you. So I'm going to turn the camera down and we'll get started. Bear with me while I get you all zoomed in and make sure you're straight and close enough to see. Okay, let's see. That's pretty good, I think. And I'll wait 1 second there for that camera to get settled. I am going to begin by covering my work surface because I'm going to do a little bit of stamping, and I'm going to be using the Memento ink pad. I've chosen to stamp on thick Whisper White cardstock tonight simply because I'm going to be using the Stampin' Blends alcohol-based markers. Absolutely love those for flawless coverage. I've chosen to use this amazing lighthouse stamp, and this comes from the stamp set called Sailing Home. Lots of fun nautical images. I don't know about you, but I live in Florida, so I love the beach. This is very reminiscent to the things that we see here in the Bay, and I love the fact that this stamp set also is offered as a bundle, which means it has coordinating dies. Now, I did take one of them out of here, and of course, that's the one for the lighthouse that I'm going to be using. But I want to encourage you that whenever a product is offered as a bundle, which means you can get the stamps and the coordinating dies, that you purchase them that way. Because who wants to fussy cut these, right, with your scissors? In addition to that, it's going to save you 10% when you purchase both. Now, if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you're interested in receiving a complimentary copy of the annual catalog, which includes these products, I would be happy to send them to you. Head over to lisasstampstudio.com and click on Contact Me. All right, let's get stamping. I'm going to use that Memento ink, like I said, and I'm going to be inking this up. Now I want to show you here. You see how the stamp is very relative in size to the ink pad. And what happens is I have a tendency to miss one of those areas. So I prefer to turn my stamp face up on my work surface and then hold the ink pad and ink it this way. That's going to ensure that I don't miss a spot. So I can make sure that I travel with my pad and cover the area well. And here's another tip for you. This is really not going to matter this time because we are stamping and we're going to be die cutting. But if you were going to be putting this, for instance, on a layer and you wanted it to be straight, turn the paper horizontally. I don't know about you, but I can't do too many things straight. And I have much better luck if I turn my paper horizontally and stamp it this way than if I try to do it like this, because I don't know about you, that's a little bit of hand contortionist stamping there. So we've got our image. Another tip for you, especially if you're stamping with friends, take this excess ink that's on your stamps and stamp it off on your scratch paper. Now I'm using the small grid sheets, which I absolutely love. They were designed for our Stamparatus stamp positioning tool, but you can purchase them to use when you're at home, and I love them. They come in a pad, super affordable. You'll be able to find those on my website. And then I'm going to take it over to my Stampin' Scrub or your Stampin' Chamois, whatever works for you. and you're going to clean it there. That's going to help cut down on those trips to go rinse that out because it gets kind of muddied with ink over time. All right, so we've got the image here. I'm not going to color the entire thing while you're watching, but I am going to zoom you in because I want to give you a couple tips about using the alcohol-based Stampin' Blends markers. Now, I colored one before you joined me, and I found that the area here at the bottom was going to be the easiest for you to see the details. Now, I'm going to be using the Night of Navy Stampin' Blends combo. Now, you can buy these individually for $4.50 or a combo for $9. I love that you can replace one before the other because certain colors I tend to favor maybe a lighter shade over a darker shade if I'm just doing straight up coloring with no blending. And if it gets to be to the point where I need to replace it, I don't have to buy the whole combo. I'm not forced to make that entire investment again. They are dual-ended. You'll see there's a thin line here which indicates the chisel tip and a thicker line here which indicates the brush tip. It has a wonderful brush tip point on it. Now I'm going to do my very best to keep my head out of the camera because I'm at that age now where I got a color where my face is really, really close. But you can see how nice and pointy this tip is. And it has a very soft chiseled end on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to lay down that Night of Navy. This is the light. Now you can go from dark to light or light to dark. There's really no right or wrong. It just depends on how you'd like to lay your color down. I prefer to go from light to dark because I tend to be a bit heavy-handed with the darker shade. So you're going to see this requires absolutely no skill at all. I am just coloring it in. I do recommend that you preserve the tips of your markers. Don't scribble like you would with a cheap, individual kids marker like your kids might do. So go ahead and just brush that color on. The great thing about the alcohol-based markers is because of their alcohol content, they're going to evaporate very, very quickly. I'm going to come over now to the darker shade, and I'm going to tell you a little secret. I don't know if you can see these little sketch lines here. Maybe you can see them better here. This is where the artist's rendering of the sketch comes into play as a great cheat mark. This is where you're going to lay your darker shades. Now I'm going to tell you too, less is more. So if you're not quite sure where to put it, start with those lines and you can always come back and add more. I'm going to add a little bit here. But the secret to getting that beautiful blended look is to go back to the lighter shade and blend those colors together. So let me show you here. You see how I'm going right over it. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling the light and the dark colors together to try to dissipate those lines. And I realize I'm not coming all the way up to that little lighthouse window because, like I said, my head's far away and I want to make sure I don't color it in. You're going to need to wait for the alcohol in this marker to dissipate. And as it starts to do that, the evaporation is going to bring this to more of its normal, true color. Now, like I said, I already have one that's finished for you, but I want to talk you through the colors that I use because I know that you're going to ask. This is the light crumb cake marker, and I use that here, down here in this little itty bitty window. And on the sample I'm going to do with you tonight, I used it kind of on these little pillar pylons here at the top. I also used my old olive combination, and I used that for that little grassy area here underneath my lighthouse. Now, I also understand that some lighthouses are out on a rocky area, so you can obviously change those colors if you'd like. And then I'm going to use the real red combination here for the top of my lighthouse. I have another sample of this exact same card to share with you where I use the cherry cobbler here, which is a darker, more of a barn red, and a little bit of a tweak on the accessory. I'm not going to give that away just yet. So let me set that off to the side. And because of the magic of live video, here we go. We've got the one that's already finished. Isn't that pretty? And very, very simple. Now, I promised you that there was a die for that, and here it is here. I'm going to bring the camera back out, so bear with me one second, and I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine. So let me just make a little room here. And here it is. I'm using my Sizzix Big Shots. I've got my platforms here all ready to go. I'm going to lay my image on top of here. Turn that a little bit so you can see. And then I'm going to line up my die. Now, I don't know about you, but if you've ever had where the die just doesn't want to stay in place, let me tell you just like the best secret in the world. These little bit of Post-it flags or Post-it index page markers. I love these because you can see these are nice and wide. You can come right across the image, right onto the die, and that's going to hold it in place. And then what I'm going to do is put my other clear mat over the top, and then I'll just crank that through, and that's going to do all the work for us. All that popping and cracking that you hear is completely normal. Don't let that scare you. That's just from the compressions of the roller from inside the die cutting machine. So let me just move the platforms out of the way. I'll take off that little post-it flag here. I like to save these and reuse those. I actually stick them to the side of my machine. And there we go. We have got the die cut image. Now you can see that I colored here towards the bottom a lot longer than I needed to, but that's quite okay because I wanted to make sure I didn't have to go back in and fill that in. Now I'm going to zoom you in a little bit closer once again so you can get a little bit better detail. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come over to the base of the card. Now I'm using Whisper White cardstock. This measures 11 by 4 1/4. I did score it right before you joined me, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fold that. And if you've watched my videos before, you know I'm a really big fan of that bone folder for that nice crisp edge. I love that on my cards so that they kind of lay flat while I'm trying to finish up the designs. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to stamp my greeting down here in the lower right corner. And I'm going to go back to my Memento ink. And I've pulled out the greeting from that exact same stamp set that says, "Set sail in the direction of your dreams." Great for a masculine birthday card. Also great for a graduation card, retirement, or even a promotion. So I'm going to stamp that down here in the lower right corner. I'm making sure. Can I get that straight? I'll give myself a B minus. I'm going to do a little bit more stamping, but I'm going to wait until after I get the next step finished. I'm going to bring the lighthouse back in, and I'm going to hold this primarily where I'm going to want it on my card. Now I'm going to turn this slightly to make it easier for my hand, and I'm going to cheat. And I don't know about you, but I don't guess very well, and I want to do a little bit of work down here below this area. So instead of guessing where this is going to end up getting placed, I'm going to bring in my mechanical pencil. Now this is not a plug for Bic, but I absolutely love their mechanical pencils. The lead is very, very soft. The eraser works like a charm. So I'm going to tell you that this is my favorite pencil here in the Stamp Studio, and no, this is not a paid advertisement. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of hover where I'm going to want this, and just above it I'm going to make a small pencil line. That's going to eventually be covered. I know it's probably going to be really difficult for you to see, but I want to make sure it's not going to be very predominant, that it'll show through to the inside of my card. I'm going to add a little color there. And I'm going to be using the Balmy Blue ink pad. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to bring back in my scratch paper. I'm going to flip that over so that that black I stamped off on is not going to be too predominant and distracting. I'm going to be using a sponge dauber. I love these because your finger can go up inside, which makes it really easy to control. What I want to do is I want to create the illusion of some color in this area for the lighthouse to be anchored. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink up my sponge dauber. But what you don't realize is this can hold quite a bit of ink. So I'm going to recommend that after you ink it up, you rub quite a bit of it off. Because remember, you can always make it darker. You can't make it lighter. So we're going to start really, really light. And I'm going to work right around that pencil line. And I'm going to sponge in some color here. And I'm working kind of in a broad oval format because I kind of want it to look like water. And again, if you want to add more color, you can come back. And you can see here how I've got a really nice area of color here towards the bottom. And I think that's really good. Nice and simple. I'm going to close this up because an open ink pad around here is just a recipe for disaster. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set this off to the side. I'm just going to give you a quick little look here on how this probably can go. This is cute in itself, isn't it great? But you know what? I decided it needed a little bit of a twist. So I'm going to bring back in my die cutting machine. Let me bring that back over into your view. And I've got my plates here. And I'm going to zoom you out a little bit so it's not so right on top of you. There you go. I've got a piece of Night of Navy cardstock here. This is just a scrap. And I've pulled out 2 circles from the Layering Circles dies. And I'm going to lay those here. Now I'm going to show you the die set that these come from because I will tell you they're probably one of my favorites in the studio. You're going to get graduated sizes of the circles, and you get the scallops. You got to love that. But I want to make a frame. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to grab another Post-it note because I think I'm going to use 2 of them. And I'll show you why in just a second. I have better luck if I do these individually. So I'm going to take this larger one and I'm going to tack that down so it doesn't slip. I'm going to take the smaller one and I'm going to do my very, very best. And my head again, far away at my age. I'm looking to see that the same amount of circumference is going to be all the way around. And then once I look like, it looks like it's pretty good, I'm going to tack that down as well. So you can see here, I've anchored this so this doesn't shift. Especially when you go to put your other clear mat over the top, that can often happen. And then I'm going to crank that through again. Let me just push that off to the side, and I'm going to bring in this die so that you can see. I'm going to take off those little Post-it notes here and here. So we've got the top one and the bottom one. These pull off. You can just use your piercing tool if necessary and pull those off. But this is what I'm after. I'm after this negative, this ring. All right, let me show you what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to save this little circle, and I'm going to use this on another card. I'm going to push that off to the side. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back in that card. Now, this in itself is really, really cool, but I want to create a focal point, something really interesting to kind of bring this out. So what I did was I took that circle and I added mini dimensionals to the back side. Now, if you don't know about mini dimensionals, well, this is probably one of the best kept secrets in the paper crafting world. The great thing about Stampin' Up! Products is not only the color coordination, but we've got some fantastic accessories. And I love this accessory for the back of my cards. These are double-sided, pre-cut pieces of foam tape. So one side here has the paper on it, the other side's already sticky. And to make my life really easy, I actually just picked them up with my Take Your Pick tool, and I laid them here. They fit perfectly. But I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to show you. Make sure that you try to get that flat edge right against the edge of your circle, because what you don't want is you don't want those edges to show on the inside circumference. I think that makes sense, right? I just saved a little time and added those beforehand. And then what I'm going to do, watch this. This is just kind of a slick trick I just figured out the other day. My paper piercing tool attachment, which is on that Take Your Pick tool, helps to pull these little guys right off, because I don't know about you, they're sticky and they're small. And did I get them all? Yep, I sure did. All right. Here's the other thing. Look how it corrals them. Don't you love that for tossing them in the garbage? That makes them a lot easier. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pick this up, and we are going to add this now to the card. But watch carefully. This is what we're going to do. We are going to come up underneath here like so. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put these two together. But I'm going to need to put some dimensionals here because I don't want to bend this in order to place it. So let me flip this over, and I'm going to switch over now to the full-size dimensionals. And I'm going to work primarily down the center. Look, my finger stuck to those. I told you they were sticky. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to use a couple more of these smaller ones because I know they're going to fit really well here near that grounded area. And then we're going to take off the paper backings to these as well. You know, I just cut my fingernails off today because it got too long. So I'll just use that paper piercing tool attachment again to make life a lot easier for me. All right, so I'm going to pick that up. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to place this like so. So I'm positioning them. I'm putting this one in here so my lighthouse is kind of sticking up. Do you see it? And I'm looking to make the lighthouse straight. I'm really not worried about the circle because it's an even circumference on both sides. Gravitating over my water's edge. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack that in place. So the dimensionals on the ring are holding it to the card base. And then this dimensionals are holding this to the card. Don't worry so much about this. There's enough right here to hold that in place. You know what? That's cute, but I think we can make it cuter. So I decided to pull out the Frosted and Clear epoxy droplets. Wow, that's a mouthful. And I'm going to come back to my piercing tool attachment on my Take Your Pick tool. Now, I don't know if you know about this or not, but this dials out and you can interchange these. It all comes with it. So you can see this spatula is well used because if I have dimensionals in a wrong area or I need to shift them, I kind of get up underneath there and use those. It also comes with a double-sided stylus tool. So you can take this out and put the stylus tool in. There are protective caps for both ends. I just have that one off. That putty tip is wonderful for picking up, look, those little tiny little pieces, including sequins. Love this. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to pick up one of these. And I'm going to place my first one, about here. All right, we're going to continue this. Does anybody kind of know where I'm going with this? I'm going to watch for your comments. Space them out as evenly as you can. Now, you know what? I'm not going to get out a ruler. I want this to be fun. Well, one just jumped right off of there, didn't it? And then I'm going to place another one down here. And then I'm going to, oh, there it is. I'll come back and get that one in a few minutes. And then I'll put another here. So I'm kind of going all the way around. It's amazing what this little bit does to a card, isn't it? Now I'm trying to look here to see, do I have even spacing to make sure I don't have two on top of each other? And then, yep, I think I'm going to work out just right. And then I'll do another one here. Sometimes you may be thinking, well, why would I want to use that many? And I'm going to say to you, well, why not? That's why we bought them, right? Look at that. All right, next step. I'm going to bring back in my Memento ink pad. And I've got here the bird image from that exact same stamp set. So I'm going to ink this up. Tip number 2. Flip it over. If you're really zealous in your ink pad and you have a habit of doing this, you're going to have ink around these outside stamped edges, and you don't want that, because if you happen to rock it on here, you're going to get what I call that shadowed stamp effect. So tap up and down, and then I'm just going to position those here, and I'm going to press, and then I've got my birds. So I've got a little bit of something there to fill up that area. Doesn't that look really awesome? All right, so there's that card. But remember, I told you I had other cards using this exact same bundle of products that I wanted to share with you. So let me just clear a spot here and move this out of the way, and let me bring those cards in. Now, the cards that I'm going to share with you next are all part of my monthly card making kit. Now, the card making kit itself is free with any $50 product purchase between today and Saturday, which would be August 17th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to send you the pre-cut supplies to make 2 of each of the 4 cards I'm going to show you here. So you're going to get all the cardstock that is pre-cut for this card. If you want your cards to look exactly like mine, I have an entire list of the products that I used over on my website at lisasstampstudio.com. Scroll down. You'll need to order the twine and the trinkets if you want it to look like mine. And of course, you're going to need a die cutting machine and of course, clear blocks and some adhesive. So you're going to have 2 of those. You're also going to make 2 of these. I am going to include the watercolor paper and the scraps here for you to make this card. This oval will be die cut for you as part of the kit. You're going to get the designer paper and all the envelopes. The best part of my card making kits is you're going to get a video to stamp right along with me from home. No guesswork. It's just like this. Me and you can start and stop as often as you'd like. And then here's my last 2 here. So for a total of 8 cards. Now it's very, very important that you use the exclusive card making kit host code. It's the only way that I know that you're entitled to the free pre-cut supplies. Now let me turn the camera around. I just provide you with the free pre-cut supplies for these projects as a thank you for your order. Remember, there's a deadline. I adhere to the deadline to make sure that I can get all the products in on time and cut all the packets, because I have a guaranteed mail delivery date of August 24th. I'm like, what day is it? That's next Saturday, so that would be August 24th. So make sure that the address that you use for your online order is the exact same address you want me to mail your kit to, because that's where it's going to go. All right, in addition to that, I throw in a PDF tutorial with multiple pictures of all of those cards, step-by-step instructions, cutting dimensions so you can duplicate the layouts, and of course, a complete list of supplies. And I also add another bonus, and that's a private invitation to an event I call Live with Lisa. Now, during that event, it's very much like this, but a lot more casual. I do several live product demonstrations for you, making cards or 3D projects. I give away product prize patrol, so I give away product to everyone who enters. In addition to that, you're going to get a bundle of 8 tutorials for different cards. Now, the great thing about this is it's held in a private group. It is on Facebook, but if you're not on Facebook, don't worry. If you place your card making kit order and you're not on Facebook, just let me know once I email you, and I'll make sure that I give you the video recording and the tutorials via email so that you don't miss out. And of course, your name is still in the product prize drawing. It's a lot of fun, the card making kit, because I take all the design work and all the work of cutting the card stock all out for you and make it super, super simple. All right, one more thing before you go. I want to let you know about some really fun stuff coming up. And I would say that this is probably it. It's the Stampin' Up! Holiday Catalog. Now, this debuts on September 4th. I'm waiting for my shipment to arrive. There was a mix-up with the mail, and they're due to arrive day after tomorrow on Friday. So if you don't already have a demonstrator and you're interested in receiving a complimentary copy of the annual catalog, after Friday, I can include that holiday catalog for you as well. Head over to lisastampstudio.com, click on Contact Me, give me your full name and your mailing address, and I would be more than happy to send that out to you. I think that's it. I'm reaching for tonight's card. Oh, you know what I promised you? I promised to show you the alternative to this one that's slightly different. Now, let me just reach over for it because I have it right here. And this is the one I used with the Cherry Cobbler Stampin' Blends. And you're probably thinking, does it really look that much different? Well, little lighter, little darker. And you're going to notice on this one that I actually used the frosted part of the epoxy shapes versus the clear. I don't know. Which one do you like better? They're very similar, aren't they? I am so glad that you've joined me. Thank you, Megan, for all your hard work tonight. I want to let you know that I will be back with you live right here on YouTube. I'm checking my calendar. That's Monday, August 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you know what we're going to do? We're going to be making a Christmas card, and I'm going to be kicking off some amazing products from this catalog. You're not going to want to miss the fun getting to see them firsthand. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you next time. Have a great day.